Hello, and welcome back to Trading Weekly. It's August 17th, almost at the end of summer. How you doing, Kay, on this fine
I'm,
Sunday?
I'm doing great. Happy Sunday to everybody. It's a pretty sunny day outside. It's pretty hot. We are like 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm not sure what's in Celsius.
Yeah, I'm
But
not
it's
sure what
hot.
that's in Celsius. It is
Yeah.
hot here as well. I mean, probably about 24 degrees, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is for the Brit, the average Brit. So, yeah, we're doing well. It's been good. It's been a really nice couple of weeks, actually, to be fair.
It's
But yeah,
33.88 Celsius, just so you know.
38. Oh,
33.8.
33. Sorry, I had 38 for some reason. That's not bad actually. That's like an oven when you're here in the UK. So we've got very humid heat over here. Anyway, we digress. This is actually a trading session. So obviously, we're just a couple of guys looking at charts and giving our perspectives. So of course, it is not financial advice. Just a quick disclaimer there. Obviously, massive thank you to Wolf and actually the platform. We really appreciate it, and obviously, hopefully, we can help out the community as much as possible with our thoughts and perspectives, as I mentioned before. Just lastly, you can subscribe to Trading Weekly on YouTube. Really helps us out in the beginning stages of our kind of growth. We are going to be looking to do some more kind of features and things going forward, going to the last quarters of the year. I know we keep pushing it back, but Kay's expanded his family, so we've had to delay it slightly, which is absolutely fine, and we love that, of course. We encourage it, if anything. And obviously, the last thing that we'll touch on, of course, is put your tickers in the comments. As always, we like to go through our normal bits. We go through our picks of the week, and then we go into the tickers that you request, so we can give our thoughts and opinions on, and hopefully get some ideas of ourselves as well, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to
Okay.
talk about.
There is. It's been a very eventful week. I suppose what we could do is actually. Oh no, Siri's trying to contact me. No, Siri. Uh, I suppose what we could do is actually talk about how your trading week was this week.
I think this trading week was pretty quiet for me. I mostly stuck with Nvidia, Google, and CoreWeave. CoreWeave was one of the stocks that reported earnings and had a pretty uh, major drawdown 2 days in a row after they reported earnings. And for folks who don't know why, it's basically their cost is high, and even though they have a lot of potential revenue, which are signed contracts, but the return on investment is still pretty dodgy. And because it's an infrastructure play, and generally with infrastructure plays, there's always a lot on the debt side that they have to overtake. But I digress. Overall, it was a pretty quiet week, I would say. And one of the main reasons is also that there was just a lot of news that was floating around with geopolitical, economic data and everything. So I played it safe, I would say.
Yeah, just taking seat back, isn't it? I guess.
Yep.
For me personally, my trading was a little bit more on the management side. I had a few trades kind of floating around the last few weeks, and I don't think I started any new ones off the top of my head. I had a couple kind of power hour ones, which is related to Edgefor, which is a platform. It's kind of a day trading platform that I use. You can get all sorts of details on that on my X. Of course, we have a couple of comments here. We've got Alex. We've got Run. Can you see the comments this week, Kay?
Yes, I can. Yes, it's
Good.
working today. Yep.
That's good news. So we've got Run there, and obviously we've got PayPal as well by Nayan. So thank you for coming along. We hopefully can get to those a bit later on. Well, I'm pretty sure we'll get to those a bit later on. We'll jump into the slideshow then, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
End of August already. I can't believe it. Right.
That's all nice.
Last week's performance, we can see on the screen here, we've got Apple up almost 5% again, which is an incredible week for them. Google up 3%, Meta up 3%, Amazon up 3%. Nvidia actually having a flat week alongside Microsoft. And of course, you can see on the right side here, we've got Tesla actually just about 3%. So a lot of kind of companies around that 3, 4, 5% mark, apart from Microsoft and Nvidia. Do you think Nvidia is just kind of calming down a little bit before earnings?
Well, that's one of the reasons, and also Nvidia is already trading at near all-time high. So you definitely need some sort of a catalyst, either for a gap up or a gap down, right? So something needs to happen, and earning provides that opportunity for the stock to either get more bullish or maybe get bearish from where it is right now.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. I was just doing some bits. Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. It's when it is earnings, not this week. It's next week, isn't it?
Let me check. I think it's
I'm pretty
in
sure it's that.
2 weeks.
Not this week. I
Yeah,
think
no,
we would have heard more about it if it was this
it's
week.
not. It's not this week. It's probably the following week. Let me double check. It's 8/27. So the following week it is.
Awesome. We'll definitely be looking that one. I think next weekend in a bit more detail. Perhaps one of
Yeah.
us can bring it up as one of our picks. So I'm pretty sure you'll probably do that anyway. Moving on to the fear and greed index, so you can see we're still firmly in greed, sitting at 64. Last week we were at 59, so only 5 points up. A little bit more greedy, but we haven't. We'll have a look at the charts in a minute. But you can see the percentages on the left side. SPY's only up 1%, Q's only up 0.5%. So it's a pretty muted week given the amount of data there was. There's CPI, there was PPI, there was
Yeah.
lots of Fed speakers talking as well, and obviously Trump doing his thing. So to only have that kind of percentage was actually pretty good. It didn't feel too choppy during the week, at least in my opinion. What did you think?
So it wasn't the overall market wasn't choppy. However, depends on if you were trading those names that were reporting earnings, they were very choppy. CoreWeave in particular was one of the ones. So you could have played either way. Tesla, we did have a breakout from the wedge, but then it kind of fizzled out towards the end of the week, and we were hoping for a bigger move, but it didn't have that. But as you can see, right, in the wicks is pretty flat. There isn't much volatility going on. It was 15.64 last week when we reported. Now it's 15.09. So it has even gone lower. So for market to see those big higher numbers, you need some sort of volatility as well going in.
Exactly right. We do have another request, which is on the X, which is Costco.
Costco.
So if you can stick that one on the list, that'd be fantastic. Key events down here in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got FOMC minutes, which is always a bit more of a market mover. A bit less so in the last kind of 6 months or so, I think. But of course, just something to look out for. We've got obviously jobs data as well the day after, which I believe is Thursday. And then Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Symposium, which I'm guessing is Thursday as well. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So plenty to look forward to on the news side of things, as always. We'll move on to the next slide, which is earnings. Very much calming down now, earnings, isn't it, Kaye?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I think there are just a couple of names. Maybe if you are in, a dividend investor, maybe look at Home Depot, Walmart, and if you're into SaaS space, maybe you look at Zoom. There's Palo Alto, but there isn't much going on here. It's pretty much at the tail end, and the only big name that we probably are waiting as a tech investor or a trader is the Nvidia, which will be the following week.
Yeah, there has been rumors that there's Alibaba earnings, which is what I'm covering today,
Got it.
on this Thursday, but I don't think they've officially released that. So I'm not going to be mentioning any earnings today or any specific dates because I'm pretty sure they haven't actually released the earnings date for Alibaba.
Yep.
Otherwise, it would be here on the screen. So it might actually be the week after. We've got a few other kind
Chinese
of
names. Yeah, I mean,
Chinese
Bilibili is the
names
big
here.
name, right? You got Baidu reporting earnings, Xpeng over there. There are a
Exactly.
lot of
Yeah. So
Chinese
there's a
names.
few Chinese names, and like I said, Alibaba could report, but at the moment, I don't think it's official. So we'll see what happens there this week. Should we move on to the next slide? We've got the SPY and the QQQ. We kind of changed the order a little bit because it didn't make too much sense for going to SPY and saying exactly the same thing for QQQ. So what we're going to do from now on, and I think it's a good idea, let us know in the comments if it is a good idea, but we're going to have a daily on one and maybe a weekly on other. And obviously, if we see something on the hourly or, so like a monthly, for example, we'll obviously bring that one up as well. I'll talk to the chart a little bit and then I'll let you kind of carry on with kind of general thoughts, perhaps. So
Okay.
on the left side, we've got SPY. SPY daily chart on the left side. As you can see, we're just kind of grinding up for the last few weeks. And then 650 is that kind of psychological level halfway through between 600 and 700. Obviously, it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. But what I would say is that trend line that's kind of going up there, just watch that for a break, because if we do get a little bit of a break and it closes below that, then things could get a little bit hairy. You can see in the past that the market does drop quite significantly. You can see there on the SPY chart itself, some drops there on the left side, and also on the QQQ, this is the weekly side. The drops can be quite significant when it does drop. So just be aware of that trend line on your charts. I'm not saying it's gospel, but of course, it's just worth noting that it could obviously go down. And as the market keeps going up, it is a bit more threatening to go down to the downside. And to the weekly side, you can see on the QQQ, I've drawn a trend-based Fibonacci extension, which is basically projecting for higher levels. It looks like we're kind of breaking out of this level that I've got here at 573-ish, and the next level looks around about 620. So if we are going to push higher and keep going, 620 is a level that I'm looking for the Qs. That's enough for me and my breath. What are your thoughts? Okay.
It's very hard to predict if the SPY is going to have a pullback. But basically what I'm watching in SPY is that gap fill, and that is now 6.8% away from where we are, because we again climbed higher from last week onwards. um, I mean, as they say, the trend is your friend, so we'll continue dollar cost averaging into index funds from a long term perspective. But definitely on the watch out. So there are a couple of events, right? When the FOMC meeting comes out, right now, the last I saw was there was a very heavy chance of a rate cut coming up in September, because I think August they are all off, they don't meet. So if September we will have a rate cut, we will see how the market reacts. Generally, right after the rate cut, market does rally, but it also, from a data standpoint, you see generally the August and September months are a little bit more frothier. It's a little bit more slower month compared to the other months, how S&P 500 performs. But so far so good. In the first 2 weeks, S&P has done very well in August. Honestly, I'm just watching for the pullback on SPY, on that gap fill to add to my position. That's pretty much it. Just wait and watch.
Exactly. I think a lot of people are in that kind of boat as well. Okay. Just a few comments here we've got to cover. Man Ram back once again. We really appreciate it, with a few tickers there, which I'm sure you've written down.
I have,
Um,
yes.
and of course, Money Manager as well, who keeps coming back week after week. We really appreciate both of you. That's Man Ram and Money Manager. We love to see you back. Okay, that's SPY Q covered. We'll move on to the next slide, which is where to find us. Again, we're kind of switching around the order. We're seeing how it's going. Where can we find you then, Kaye? What have you got going at the moment?
Well, I think the best place right now, where I'm tracking most of the stuff, is on Twitter, which I post my comments, stuff on daily basis, and then of course on, if you want to track me on my analysis, it's on Substack. I did post about a potential long term investment opportunity in a SaaS name, Monday.com. So you can go ahead and read that, and I've provided the reasons why I think it's a long term good bet. Again, that's where you'll find me. And YouTube is basically going to be the platform which I'm sure I'm going to restart making videos again, but at some point in time, yes.
And that's at InvestK on X. He's the SaaS master, is that right?
Oh well,
the,
I don't know about the
the
SaaS
expert.
master, but yeah, well,
That's definitely your area. That's for sure. And
I like
my area
SaaS
is a bit
softwares. Yes.
exactly. My area is a bit more to the charts and technical analysis and kind of short-term trades, swing trades, and you can find all that kind of details on my X as well, which is Shaun Trades _. On my YouTube, I released a video yesterday around kind of a risk management, maximizing your profit strategy type thing. So go ahead and check that out. It's the same handle at Shaun Trades _. And there's no point going to Substack because I don't really use it at all. So just go ahead and look at the X and the YouTube. Without further ado, we'll move on to the next slide, and that is our past performance. And I lost again, just again. I mean, last week it was like 0.5% out, and this week I was down 0.2% on Marvel, which actually the position, by the way, is actually still in a good place. It's still above the trend line, etc. Blah blah blah. I've been posting about it all week on X, and but yes, Tesla down minus 1.23%. So you actually beat me by less than 1%. So well done, Kaye. You got another one on the board.
Yeah,
How do you
2 in a
feel?
row. Not bad. I'm
Ecstatic.
still far away from catching up, but hey, listen, every week counts.
Yeah, we'll see what we look like in 8 weeks' time. It could be 13-13. So
That's gonna be amazing, right? And that's when
that'd
we
be
can
awesome.
restart the competition. Right now, I'm still far behind.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's about 18 or 19 weeks until Christmas, so you could be ahead by Christmas at this rate. So
Well, that's the goal, right? Let's aim
that's
for that.
the go. Yeah. Awesome. So that's the past performance. Obviously, this week, our picks of the week, I've got Alibaba, and Kaye has got Marathon Digital, which is the Bitcoin kind of sympathy play. I think they're both kind of technically lined up, and we'll jump into the first one, which is mine, which is Alibaba. And quite simply, I've kind of laid out a trade potential here of 7-to-1 ratio. It's a bit tight, the risk to reward, but that you can always bring the stop loss down if you want to adjust your appetite. But very simply, we've got a couple of gaps to fill to the upside. We've had a bit of euphoria, kind of excitement during last week. Obviously, we came all the way up to kind of 127 mark, and we pulled back significantly, actually down to this level of about 120. 120 would be the ideal area. And it comes with a bit of a caveat. This stock it jumps around all the time because it trades on the HSI, which is the Hong Kong index, and you can see that reflected in the chart. There's gap after gap after gap, and that's just because it trades overnight, just with the similar sort of volume, um, ratio. So just be careful of that. It could go up, 4 or 5% overnight very, very easily. So maybe adjust that to your kind of sizing within your portfolios, if you are to get into it, of course. So yeah, my thoughts are basically a retest of the trend line, as you can see flowing through the screen there, 120 and move up back up to kind of 132 and ultimately 142 over time. I've got that typical word of confluence, which I like, which is basically the amount of supports that we have to confirm this move potential. We've got the volume profile here on the right side, so you've got lots of plenty of volume there. The 20 moving average, the 50 moving average, and obviously the trend line there. So that's 4 points of confluence, and I look for at least three when I get into a trade, ideally. So yeah, what are your thoughts, okay?
With Baba, being a Chinese name, I
Yeah.
feel like it just hasn't recovered to its old glory days when Jack Ma used to head the company. I don't know if he's still heading it or not, but Baba was a serious competitor back in the day, at least to Amazon. I don't follow the name honestly at this point in time, but I know that there's a big crowd that likes Baba, and yeah, man, I don't have any specific opinions on this. I get what you are trading in, but I don't have any specific opinion on Baba. Honestly, I hope your trade plays out on this one. I
Yeah,
don't
and
like the name at all, honestly.
we'll talk to you about the kind of length of the trade that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for an overnight swing here. I'm
Yeah.
looking for probably 3 to 4 week swing,
So this is a swing
bit
trade.
thereabouts. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely not a day trade. You're not going to get that move within a day. And if you do, you're very, very lucky, I believe. But
So
it's just
tell
not
me
going to
one thing:
happen.
how are we going to? We're still tracking for the week performance for next week, right? For our picks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
But
I
you
mean,
want to,
what if we get up to kind of 126, 128?
yeah.
That's not bad going. I'll take that percentage, and obviously related to yours, which is marathon. And we'll speak of the devil. We'll jump into that now, shall we?
All
So
right.
marathon has a potential to obviously move up a lot higher in percentage. So it could be another losing week for me. But you never know. The kind of move that I'm looking for, especially with the potential earnings happening this week,
Yes. Yes.
it could work out for me. Anyway, enough of my chart and my pick of the week. What is your pick of the week this week?
Well, my pick of the week is Mara, and because you talk about confluence, I think one of the things to talk about, couple of confluence point, is that on the 100-day SMA, we have seen this coiling that is happening, and we have seen this consistent bounce from that level. This is also the level where the point of support is, or where majority of your volume profile sits. So as long as and the last candle from Friday was more of a doji candle to kind of see what's happening, assessing, the market is assessing where should we move, should we have moved to the upside or to the downside. And and, and I think at least back in the day, and it hasn't been happening in the last 6 to maybe 9 months, Mara used to trade exactly in the same trend as Bitcoin price. Now that doesn't happen. But we have been in this limbo of $15, 18, $15 to $20 limbo for Mara for a very long time now. I've been trading this name for a year and a half, and I feel like I've just been trading in this $15 to $22 range for this year and a half. So if you had invested in a long term standpoint, you would pretty much be flat or down in your position, depending on where you entered. But anyways, cutting short. So what we are seeing here is, if we can break this 20 day, is it 20 day, is a 50-day moving average, and but then there are a couple other moving averages. You have a 200-day and a 300-day SMA. But if we can see a breakout from this level, considering how the Bitcoin is getting the momentum, and even there's a push from the federal government on on the cryptocurrency side, if it breaks, we could go back to those highs of the 20s, and that's a pretty potential move from where we are at $15. In a breakdown, we still have a decent amount of volume profile sitting at the 14s and the 14 and a half. So that could act as a support. But that's what I'm looking to. Again, this will be again a swing trade, not something that we can see something happening next week per se. But from a swing trade standpoint, maybe 4 to 6 week or 8 weeks, you could potentially, profit from that move if that happens. That's what I think on the Mara. What's your take on it?
There's always definitely lots of potential in Marathon, isn't there? And lots of other kind of Bitcoin sympathies as well. I know you said they don't move in that kind of area, but you've got Riot as well. You've got Hive, blockchain. I mean, there's so many of them now. But for me, looking at the chart, looks like we've had a bit of a trend line break to the downside. So if you drew a line from this low here,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of drew it up through, you're
Mm-hmm.
probably ending up with the line kind of there-ish. So we have broken down below that. You mentioned the strength around 100 moving average. We want to see a little bit of a volume coming off of that very, very shortly. And obviously, you've got the MACD down here, which
Yeah.
viewers can't see at the moment. But yeah, you've got the MACD. It looks like it's kind of curling around.
Mm.
Can't quite see it exactly, but the two lines are converging nicely for potential move up. And I do like it, to be honest, Kay. But I want it to get back above that trend line, as you kind of try and imagine there
Yeah.
first. But yeah, that would be my thoughts for the stock moving forward. Do they report earnings anytime soon? Have they reported
Let
earnings
me
recently?
see when are they
Oh, hang on,
reporting.
there's an E there on the screen. So yeah,
1029,
see with
1029, yeah. So they reported on 729 and the next reporting is 1029. So on the 729 they did beat their EPS, they beat their gap EPS, they beat their revenue. So it was a surprise altogether on all fronts.
okay, so there's lots of potential in, and you've got Nyan here with a comment. Mara looking good, 20% upside from this level. So there, he's very bullish as well around marathon. I'm definitely going to stick this one on the watch list as well. So I'll keep an eye on it the next couple of days and see if there's any volume coming through, because it could be quite an interesting potential
Yeah.
for sure. Awesome. Yeah, that's our picks of the week. I've got what do I have? Alibaba, and you've got marathon. So we'll see. Let's go back to the slide. We'll see what the performance will be next week. See if we can get another notch on the board. There's definitely more potential for your stock in terms of the way it can move, but it's not everything as we've seen in the past. Anyway, I'm waffling a little bit, so let's jump into some chart requests. We've got another couple come in. Did you get them written down, Kay?
Yes, so we had from Raymond, he says something I've added to my long-term portfolio is Kava. It's a Mediterranean fast casual chain here in the US, and they are excellent in my opinion, better than Chipotle. I actually like Kava too, honestly, but I don't trade those names because they remain. I mean, they're actually a very good potential for wheel strategy. But sometimes the premiums are not great on those stocks. But I get why you have added to your long term position. And then I think we have the next one is SEDG. So yes, I have the names.
Yeah.
Do you want me to start off with the first one? First
Yeah, go
one,
ahead. Let's do it.
Sun. I haven't heard of this in a long time. Sunrun. It used to be very popular back in the day.
I did. I think I did a video about this about 4 years ago. A video that's probably completely irrelevant now. It looks like, so this is the weekly chart I've got up on the screen here. I wonder what their revenue is like, because it looks like the
Yeah, I can tell you.
earnings down here
So
very hit and miss.
9 million was their revenue as of the last reporting. No, sorry. The actual revenue was 569. The surprise was by 9 million. And the EPS is 1.07. So
Interesting.
last two
So
quarters, they have surprised both on the revenue and the EPS side.
you can kind of see that related to, because you've got the earnings shields down here. You've got the move that's kind of been made. This is the weekly chart, as I remember. And then you've got another move, a static move here as well. So it does move on earnings. It's coming up to just natural resistance. This is a line that I've had on the chart already. So natural resistance coming up here for sure, but you've got lots of volume that's potentially breaking out of at the same time. So this could easily just be broken through to the upside. Potential wise though, let's have a look at where it could go. Zoom out a bit, get some more details.
It has a short interest of 23%, so pretty high.
We haven't forgotten about your PayPal, Nyan. Don't worry.
Yeah,
We'll get you to.
absolutely. It's right in the sequence of the next ticker.
Yeah, so you've got nearest resistance on my watch here is about maybe lower, maybe about $20, which from here is actually pretty good. It's about 30%, isn't it? Something like that. Let's get a line on.
I, do, I for this year, you also chose something of a renewable energy stock, right? As far as I remember, was it this year you chose renewable
That was
energy?
that was last year.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, this year I bought SMH.
Okay, okay. Semiconductor. I forgot what did I. I think I chose Nvidia or something like that. I have to go
Yeah,
back and check.
it's hilarious because we both basically chose the same thing
Yeah,
because Nvidia is about 24% of SMH.
yeah, right.
So,
I think for next year we cannot choose an ETF. That has to be a rule.
oh, okay, right, sure. Made that clear, didn't you? Awesome. So that's the potential move that we can have for someone, especially with 24% short interest. I'm definitely going to be writing that one down. I'd have to dive into shorter time frames and look into where execution would be ideal, because at the moment, entering on a day where it's gone up 30% is not ideal. So we're going to have to look into that and see where the possibility would lie for an entry. But definitely one I'm going to add to my watch list there. What's next? Okay,
Next is PayPal.
PayPal. There you go. This
This is
one's been
a
beaten up a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is another stock that I have seen that it has pretty much been stagnant, right? I mean, it's pretty much in this range of your 50 to $90. That's been the range that's been in this position since what, 2022. Crazy.
I'm just playing around with some of the. It's below moving averages on the daily and the weekly. I don't know what their numbers look like, but it looks like in the last 5 quarters they've gone green, as you can see at the bottom here.
I can tell you.
So it looks like they're building, but the stock is just not following, perhaps.
So they just reported earnings 729. They had a 8.29 billion in revenue. So they had a surprise both top line and bottom line. I think one of the another reasons that I can think of is they haven't been consistent. So if you look at the last 4 quarters, they had 2 times they missed on the revenue, 2 times they surprised. So they are not being as consistent as some of the other stocks that you see in the space. But they actually had a very good run before that. They had a consistent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarters of revenue surprises. Um,
But you say that the consistency is perhaps just not there compared to other companies. I mean, like SoFi as well, for example, they
Yeah, I
have a
mean,
consistent
SoFi is
revenue
a
line
is,
as
is a
well.
beast in terms of the surprises, right? I mean, they pretty much always are beating that. So Nayan has a comment. I see PayPal jumping to 75 from this level short term, but what do you would want to know your guys' perspective? So I think from a trading standpoint, this might be, I mean, it can go back to its the 90s. Let me see what's going on. What's your take on this one? We do have the 200-day SMA coming up at 83, so that would act as your a big time resistance. But
So I've got a line drawn on here, 86 already. I can't quite remember what that is. It must be a gap fill. Yeah, it's a gap fill. So definitely 86 is the target. Where I would enter, I'm really not sure, because here I definitely wouldn't enter because I've got resistance in the form of 3 different moving averages and a bunch of volume. Now, for example, what the move I would like to see, if we get a bit of volume coming through that, that's great. And then maybe we fill this gap here. Sorry about the line. And then we come back down to this level where the volume profile is. So maybe an entry at 72 to 86. But I would have to see that move play out as I just mentioned. So that's not too bad. That's what, 18%. But yeah, but with everything that's going on around the inconsistencies of the fundamentals, it's going to be a hard one to get into. On the other side, it'd be quite good to play to the shorts, probably more so than the upside. So you've got obviously 3 moving averages above, as I mentioned. But if we break this line of 67, which has been quite a consistent line of support and resistance, as you can see with the many touch points in the past, then coming back down to the larger time frame wedge down here at kind of 58, that would be an interesting short as well, especially if we get a bit more of a market pullback. If we get a market pullback, of course, then there's definitely money to be made on both sides here, but there's more work to be done to the upside than the downside, in my opinion.
I also feel if you want it from a long term exposure standpoint, maybe selling options might be a better strategy to take into account. That way you are, and then doing a wheel on it. This way you'll be able to enter a position and you'll be able to lower your cost basis if you know what you're doing here. So that's our opinion on this one.
Awesome.
Next is
Hope that
K.
helps, Nayan. Let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, next is KOG, and I'm not sure what it's a. I think the person who asked, it's a Norwegian company, but let me see what they do. I don't
This
know.
is
See a chart.
OSL stock market. This must be a Norwegian stock market. Oslo, I
Oh,
guess.
I think so. Let's see what the comment says. The comments.
Euronext Oslo. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
it's sitting at its 200
Norway,
moving average.
Norway is a beautiful country. I will tell you that.
I don't think I can actually trade this, even if I tried. But it is looking at, so the weekly time frame is at 50 moving average, which is really nice to see, regardless of any sort of fundamentals, of course. We'd have to look into that because it has dropped from $400 down to 300. That's concerning. But it's at a good level of support on the weekly and the daily. And it's probably around the 20 moving average on the monthly. Not quite yet. So there's still work to be done. I mean, look at that. It's made enormous moves in the last 5 years. So we've got that move 1,700%. Yeah, I mean, it's due a pullback and it's kind of during that pullback now. So I would stay away from this one personally. I don't think I can trade it anyway, even if I tried, as I mentioned, being on the Norwegian stock market. What are your thoughts on this one, Kaye, before we move on?
No, I think I don't have any specific thoughts because we know we can't trade, and I don't have any insights on what it is and what it does. I mean, it's a stock market index fund, right? I'm assuming, or is the
No,
overall
no,
stock?
I think it's a stock on the Oslo exchange. So it is a company, I think.
I have no idea, honestly. I don't want to sound like that I know.
Kongsberg, Gruppen. Yeah.
Let's see.
We've got a comment here from CJ, bit unrelated. If you guys are down 2K, what would you guys do?
Depends on your
Well, that
portfolio. From is if your portfolio is $4,000 and you're down 50%, that's a different scenario versus your portfolio is $50,000 and you're down to $2,000. So it depends on the percentage. But what would you do, Shaun? Let's start with you.
I would just stop trading and reassess where I am financially. Like you said, it's all dependent on what that is, whether it's 1% of your portfolio, of 80% of your portfolio. But initially, if I thought that was concerning, which sounds like it might be for CJ, if I thought that was a concerning amount, then I would just stop trading, reevaluate where I am financially, whether I can, move forward in terms of continuing trading, at least in the near term, or would I have to save that money back up to implement it back into the market? I hope that kind of makes sense. I know it sounds a bit silly, but that's how I would look at it. I would just stop trading and just reassess my financial situation before I go any further, because it sounds like it might be a bit of a loss that it didn't want personally. But what are your thoughts on this?
And
Do you have any thoughts?
yes, and I think what I would additionally do, apart from completely stopping and pausing for what's happening, is to actually assess why you lost those $2,000, and maybe write down your thoughts, right? What prompted you to maybe get into a position, maybe get into that trade, and then what happened, what transpired for, and that led to the $2,000 loss. So take these losses not just as, hey, I lost money. It's actually a lesson that you are going to learn from that, because those lessons are the ones that will eventually get you to win those trades or investments. Because if you don't learn these lessons now, you'll continue to make the same mistakes again and again. So I think not just stopping and then kind of reassessing, doing a lessons learned on why you lost that money is very important. That's what I'll do.
Awesome. Hopefully, CJ can take a little bit from what we both said there. He has written down a few more details on that.
Oh,
But of course, we've said our piece, and that's kind of our thoughts around that. He said here 5K portfolio used to 2K option on margin, and then 1.4K loss on Tesla call option before I
okay.
bought the earnings
So,
call.
from a if you have a 6K portfolio and you are going to be putting 2K on a call option, which I'm assuming it should be a short-term call option, because generally for long-term call options it would be much higher that you will need to buy. So if you want to go the route of call options, I would play safer in terms of maybe buying a leap call option
Yeah, time.
and time. So you need time on your side. If you are trading from a 6K standpoint, then you cannot be okay. So see, you're already learning your lesson, right? You already said I was up 500 on another call, then I was greedy and held until I was down 350. So what is the lesson you learn from here is in trading, you have to have your exit criteria, whether on the upside or on the downside, and you have to stick to it. Listen, we have all made that mistake. I'm pretty sure everybody who's on watching here, or Shaun and I, we all do this. Like we get greedy,
Yeah.
we make mistakes.
Yeah, and what I've learned from that in the past is obviously I've been greedy, you've been greedy, you've just mentioned that. Is I always have my stop loss and target price in my mind before I've even taken the trade. So I know what my risk is before I've taken the trade. It makes you sleep so much better at night when you've got, for example, Google is at $100, but your risk is $90, but your potential reward is $120. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. You know that straight off the bat. If you don't get into the trade, you don't get into the trade. You just look for another opportunity. If you do get into the trade and it goes against you, again, you just move on to another opportunity. But if it hits your target price, then brilliant. You can sell half and then move up your stop loss to break even. Let it go on for beyond then. Options obviously a little bit different, but you can still work the same sort of way. I know you set stop losses on your options, and I think that's a good way of well, I mean, stop loss is key. It's
Stop loss,
vital risk
yeah,
management.
stop loss is
Yeah.
the key. And I don't think that for a 6K portfolio you should be spending $2,000 on a call option, short term call option. That's not the right strategy for your portfolio. See, you can win. One of those will stick, and you might make $14,000 $15,000 on the call option, but the chance of you blowing your account is much higher. The probability is much higher on blowing your account than actually getting those $20,000 on one call option. So
Yeah,
that's our
we're
take.
not here to be millionaires overnight, are we? We're here to
Yeah.
be maximize our wealth and over a long time. We're kind of waffling on this one a little
Yeah,
bit because we've got
let's
about
go.
20
So
minutes left and
next
we've got
is
loads of tickets to get
all right.
through. So
We
let's
go
have a go.
fast. Next is Costco.
But we do hope that helps, CJ, for you. So Costco is up next.
Yes, it's a nice
Oh,
little
look at this.
channel. Yeah,
We must have brought this up last week because
somebody brought it up Costco last week.
this line's pretty fresh on the screen. I'm just going to stick to what I've got here on the screen. It looks good. It's above the 20 moving average and the 50 moving average. It just needs to kind of make a move up to the upper side of the wedge here. But it looks like the line I've drawn is, I think, maybe we tested the downside first. Either or, within this wedge is a good place to start. The company itself, obviously, it's flying, isn't it?
Well, listen, I mean, Costco is an amazing name, honestly, and it's mostly. I unfortunately can't trade options with $97,000 on this one to sell options, but man, this is a great. I do want to, if you want to buy for long term position, I would want the stock to actually pull back a little bit more, maybe closer to. It is on a 50-day SMA, getting very closer to that. Maybe if the overall market has weakness, we may see more pullback. But this is a juggernaut name. Honestly, there's nothing wrong. I would love to add this on weakness in my long term position. That's what I'll say.
Awesome. We've got a comment here on the screen. We've got an opinion on NVO, which I'm guessing is a ticker request. We've got, yes, I feel another reason why people tend to hold longer than they should is because of FOMO. Maybe they sold a trade for 30% profit and then it runs 200%. I've been there before. After they sold, so they take that for what if to the next trade. Yes, I mean, FOMO is a big part of trading. But that goes into what we said before. Just have your targets, stop loss and your target profit. And then have your strategy that kind of builds through time, through experience. We've all been there. And we've got another comment here just before we move on. Is there a Discord you can join? There is not, CJ, unfortunately, but you can follow us both with the tickers that you can see by our kind of visuals, and we kind of post encouraging kind of not philosophical, what's the word? Psychological trading tips as well along the week. And of course, Wolf Financial posts really good information in the industry and helps us power these streams that we do every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Let's move on to the next ticker.
Next is Rubric, RBRK.
This is one I'm currently watching.
Yes.
Again, because we've had this descending wedge here, and we've kind of created a smaller wedge as well, which is quite exciting. What we what I didn't like on Friday is it dipped below the volume profile here and the 20 and the 50 moving average. Not ideal, but the ultimate support of 83 is still there, still holding. As long as that holds, it still has a chance of breaking out of these wedges. Well, this wedge. That's all I've got to say, really.
Okay. I don't have anything. Let's move to the next one. FTNT.
Haven't heard this one for a while. Fortinet.
Fortinet. Yes.
Oh, that's a drop.
They. Yeah. I'm assuming that has to do with the guidance because they did beat the earnings. So the question is, if you want to add the position, what I would do here is because there is a gap down. So if there's a overall market weakness, you might see the stock even coming and filling that gap. So generally, if you see the stocks that have a major drawdown, sometimes it kind of consolidates at a certain level and then has another leg lower. So what you want to see here is it consolidates, it breaks out from the trend line, retest, and then move to the upside. Otherwise, you could see a reversal and filling that gap. I would say it would probably fill the gap before it even goes back up higher. That's my take. What's your take?
You talk about this gap down here.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, looking for those signals to continue up higher. It's just a waiting game, really, isn't it? You don't really buy at these levels, and if you're holding long term, you could add to it
Yeah.
and average down. But yeah, no, let's move
Next
on.
is Lululemon. And I have my thoughts on that. And I'll actually give you a trade idea that I'm actually considering on Lulu. So there is a lot of bearish sentiment on Lulu. If you go on the Twitter, on YouTube, there are a lot of like, hey, competition is here. Well, competition was always here. There's not like today competition has arrived from heaven, right? Competition has always been there. Nike has always been there. I don't know, Vuori has been there for a long time now, and a couple of other companies are there as well. But Lululemon still is a pretty strong name. And then most recently, the 13F filing that came out, a couple of institutional investors have started their position. Generally, Lululemon has a bigger institutional investment compared to the retail investors. So, anyways, if you like the name and if you want to trade it, the way that I'm looking at is probably going to go and buy a leap call starting January 27. So you could decide to get into a leap call at 80 delta, 70 delta, 50 delta, whatever you like, where you feel comfortable. Maybe a 220 call for maybe 41.95. So you're debiting $4,100 or $4,200 for that upside potential. That's how I would trade.
So that's that move there, isn't it? So that's that. This vertical line is the beginning of 2027.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I hear you? I'm not too sure if I can hear you.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're crackling a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sweet. Let's move on.
Next is Snowflake.
We are loving the amount of tickers that are coming in, by the way. Hopefully we can get to them all today, which is probably why we're acting a little bit faster this week, if you have noticed or not. But Snowflake is looking okay. I mean, I've got these boxes drawn, I'm guessing, from previous sessions. I don't really trade this one.
Yeah.
I think we've spoken about this gap fill down at 180-ish, which kind of coincides with the moving average I've got here on the screen, and also a little bit of volume. So I'm still not really interested until it reaches 180 personally. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
No, I have similar thoughts. I think it started to fill that gap. You saw the little wick dropping into the gap. I think there's potential for it to draw down further.
Especially with the trend lines kind of above it here, and obviously the moving averages as well. So there's lots of resistance in the way. But we do have earnings, what looks like on the 27th of August, which is 10 days from now. So we'll see.
So any weakness could push it down. But if they come out pretty strong, especially from a future guidance standpoint, that might just do the trick for the trend line break. Next is AMD.
AMD, I think had a good week, didn't it? AMD.
AMD has been I mean, that has been a sleeper pick, I would say. From advanced money destroyer, it became like a money maker.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
up 4% this week. So it's not too shabby. It was actually up at one point, it was up 9%. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of plugging up higher. It's done really, really well. We do have
I
a
think,
gap here, the potential to fill in the future.
and I think it's driven mostly by, if Nvidia earnings is coming up the week following next, uh, the name is gonna be driven by that 100%. So I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So if there is a very strong, and also if you notice that the China market is open, you have to pay 15% commission to the US government. But then on the Chinese side, they're saying, hey, listen, you should not be buying NVIDIA chips and all that, typical rhetoric for coming out from Chinese companies. But again, they probably need those chips. So if the revenue potential is there and is going to add whatever X number of dollars, $1 billion into the revenue, I think that will add to the stock price both for Nvidia and AMD. And if Nvidia runs, most likely is going to pull AMD as well for long term. But this is the 186 is a resistance, and they have to break that, because that they have failed to break that since 20, July of last year.
You
So
say 186. Yeah, so there you
186,
go.
yes,
That one
and they
there.
yeah, and they got rejected from the same spot 3 days back. So
Crazy, isn't it? How technical analysis will work like that. We have a comment as well, again from CJ. Can you guys post what indicators you use? I don't think we use many, do we, Kay? I mean, but what indicators do you use?
I use the SMAs. I mostly look at the support and resistance. I look at sometimes the trend channel, and I sometimes just do Fibonacci. That's pretty much it from my side.
And some volume profile as well, don't you,
Volume
sometimes?
profile, yeah. I mostly trade through volume profile. Yeah, that's one.
I think for me, it's just moving averages. Obviously, support resistance, similar to K. Trend lines is a massive one for me. Because being a breakout trader, I look for trend lines a lot, and kind of patterns that coincide from there. And then I kind of use the volume to kind of go alongside those moves. But very, very simple. I try to keep it very simple. I do have RSI and MACD as well, but I just use them as a bonus. I never actually rely on them to get into a trade.
All right.
Yeah, okay, let's move on.
Next up is C Limited.
So
SE.
SE, yeah,
Yeah.
good memory, Shaun. I like that. This one seems to be going really nicely. Wow.
Yeah, they even missed on the EPS, but the stock really jumped up.
Oh, look at this, Kay. This is brilliant. So we've obviously covered this stock a long time ago, and I've drawn a cup and handle on the daily chart here,
Look
and
at
it looks like it was from halfway through 2023 going into halfway through 2024. Let's go into the weekly candle.
yeah.
Where am I? Whoa, what's going on? I'll get there eventually. There we go.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
looks like we've drawn a cup and handle there, and it's just
perfect.
broken out and gone basically. So if we did actually execute the trade there, we would have been up very handsomely, well over 250% ish. But anyway, price action now. I mean, yeah, it's hard to kind of buy here at these levels, isn't it? Weekly support there, the 20 moving average, which is nice. There's a gap there though. Okay, I know you like your gaps.
I know. I just look at those.
But do you trade them this one much or not so much?
I generally don't trade these names as much. I stick to the ones that I know most of them, like semiconductor, SaaS space. Those are my favorite names to trade mostly.
There you go. Stick to what you know, people. There's a lesson in that, a big, big lesson in that. Stick to what you know for one, and then stick to what your knowledge base is on. So for me, it's more towards electric vehicles. For Kay, it's more towards SaaS. For you, it might be the financial industry. It could be semiconductors. But it's a very big lesson in kind of trading what you're comfortable with, at least from a swing trading perspective and long term perspective. Daily trading, it's a lot more towards kind of technicals, etc. So that's a different ball game. But yeah, anyway, what's next?
Next is SEDG.
Solar
It is
Edge. I haven't
Solar
seen this
Edge.
for a
Yes.
while.
Yeah.
So this one is struggling alongside the kind of Well, that's not actually. It's not doing too bad this year. But the solar area industry is not doing too well. You've got companies like Enphase kind of really suffering. First Solar's not doing too bad either. So maybe it's just Enphase that's not doing too well. What are your thoughts on kind of interest rates coming down and impacting the
Yeah, but
solar industry? Because
but
that's what they're
I
talking about.
I also feel that this administration is not that in favor of these renewable energies, right? They are real, and unless you have a very concentrated effort from the government to really focus on these renewable energies, I do think these stocks may have a pop here and there, but for a meaningful move of few x's, 10x, 20x, 30x, whatever, right, you want, that won't happen because there won't be adoption. I look at the EV vehicle adoption; it has like really slowed down in the US. That's my take from a long term. If you're looking for these to be multi baggers, there has to be some sort of a government support in terms of or encouragement to move towards solar, not solar, just renewable energy. That's my take.
Yeah, no, I
So these
completely
names
agree.
are
From like
attractive.
a logical point of view, that makes a lot of sense. From a technical point of view, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like it's kind of bouncing off the 20 moving average nicely. This is the weekly chart we've got here. It's bouncing off the 20 moving average there, as you can see. And it's just pushing through the 50 moving average, but we've got lots of resistance at this level of about $30 and 50 cents ish, and lots of volume here to kind of break out of. So there could be a very quick vicious move from 30 to 47 if, like you say, things go right for them. I'm not too sure what the short interest is on this because it could
13
be
point. No, no, that's a different one. Sorry.
it could be quite an interesting number,
22%.
perhaps. So
22.
exactly. So there you go. This is I think this is pretty good risk to reward. If it needs to be a little bit more due diligence to be done, at least on my side. Oh my god, what happened there? Where's the stop loss all the way down there? Yeah, you can basically do a stop loss there at about $18 mark. Oh no, what am I doing? There we go. Oh, it's actually risk to reward ratio is not that great. So again, you'd have to look into this one a bit more. But
Next
yeah,
is
I'm going to write that
Teladoc.
one down.
Yeah. Next is Teladoc. TDOC. This used to be a pretty high flying stock, especially from Cathy Wood. But if you think about during the pandemic, but if you think about it, it's actually a pretty sensible business that for you know a fever here, some little discomfort, you don't need to go to a doctor or a provider. You could actually just set up an appointment. Um, but the stock has been struggling. It used to be, I think, in at peak it used to trade around the what $291 in 2021 February. So as they say, how the mighty have fallen. But I feel there's a resurgence in the stock lately.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it is worth a risk
It is
from a
worth a
risk to
risk. I mean,
reward
at these
perspective.
levels, you can swing it. Because even if it
Yeah,
doubles from here, right, from 7 to goes to 15, which is not impossible with a short interest of 13%, not that high, but you never know.
you can keep quite a nice tight stop loss there. I know it's 20%, but you would just size down in your portfolio to obviously go against that. But then there's like a potential 100% to the upside.
I mean,
But
even
that's
even
just
doing even doing a leap call on this, like a $10 call for December 2027, 2 years from now, more than 2 years from now, like $261 you'll pay for a contract. I mean, if you really believe in the business and if you want to take that swing, I mean, some of these tickers are you could take a swing at it.
yeah. I mean, if the market keeps plugging up, then the reason
Yeah.
why these ones can't keep moving up. I know
Well,
IWM is looking okay,
yeah.
but yeah,
Next up is the one that we're talking, Grab.
Grab. Yes, we wanted this one to come up, didn't we? I suppose because we did talk about this before we went live today.
Yep.
Um, I know you've got some thoughts on Grab. I'll let you talk this one kind of more from a logical point of view, I guess. What are
Well,
your thoughts?
I think it's clear that institutional investors are seeing something. I mean, I don't really follow a lot of companies that are outside the United States, in different areas. So that's why my knowledge is very limited on those, so I pretty much outsource that kind of analysis to the institutional investors to do the research. But with Bridgewater expanding their institutional ownership in this, and a couple others institution expanding as well, I think it could be a multi-bagger potential for Grab. And I also know on Twitter there's a big Grab investor community that is follows the news day in and day out, like used to have for SoFi and other ticker symbols. So I'm actually in Grab.
There you go. You heard it here first. Kaye is a big fan of Grab. I like the way it's been consolidating in the last kind of 6 or 7 months. I say consolidating. I know it's had its moments of kind of dropping with the market, etc. But generally, from like a standpoint, considering their kind of fundamentals, etc., and their future guidance is doing pretty well, from what I've heard. But from a technical point of view, getting out of this 550 level seems to be a bit tricky. If we can get back, if we can get above that, essentially come back down and retest it, then I'll be interested for an entry around 550. The reason I wouldn't get into it now is just because it can just keep dropping down and breaking this trend line. And then obviously then you're looking at kind of 380, which is a lot to lose, in my opinion. So waiting for that kind of break of 550 would be something I'm looking at. What's next?
Next up is DLO. It's
Are we going to get through all these tickers today?
I mean, I'm trying to get through as many as we can.
So this is DLocal, another fan favorite from FinTwit. Looks like it had good earnings by the looks of it. The earnings report, as you can see on the screen, is down here. It's flown up. It's hard to buy a stock once the stock has done this, but perhaps if it can retreat down to 1370, that might be a good entry point. But if we do break below that, obviously a gap fill would be on the cards. But I'd have to look into a bit more detail in terms of fundamentals and why it's moved so generously.
Next is okay. Sorry, go ahead. Webull.
Wow, here we go.
And I can imagine why people are asking. It's because Robinhood took off. So, but I don't know, man. It's Webull is not as intuitive as Robinhood. I'll tell you that from a use. I mean, I've been using Webull for a very long time now. It's very complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use either. I use Robinhood, but very, very loosely. I just kind of put leap calls on it every now and then and just kind of leave it in the distance. But yeah, I mean, I have traded Webull and I've traded it very well, in my opinion. So I've kept kind of stop losses quite tight and target profit zones very, very strict. But ultimately, we've got a wedge here that we're kind of looking to break out of, and it's kind of 1830, which is well over 10% from where we are now. So what you could do is actually place a little trade, kind of breaking out of this little kind of resistance line here, because we've got lots of contact points. So you could actually play a trade from kind of where we are now to 1830, and that could happen in a day, given the amount of volume and excitement around this name. But obviously, it does come with a bunch of risk, so do be careful if you're trading this one.
Mm-hmm. Next is Open. Wasn't this the SPAC from Chamath back in 2019?
This one's going mad recently.
$39.
Look at that.
Chamath was trying to ask folks to sell Facebook, Meta, back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible price action, isn't it? I mean, if you've been accumulating throughout the year and you really believed in it, around that kind of 51 cents, it's gone up to $5, which is 1,000%, which is,
crazy.
If you made money on that, then really congratulations, you've done really well. I've obviously got a line. I've obviously looked at the stock recently, I guess, because I've got a line here at $3. I'm not trading this. I have no interest in trading this. Of course, you can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money with this name. And the market that we're in, it's not worth the risk, in my opinion. But yeah, congratulations if you are making money on this.
So let me cover one more stock, is Zoom. And I know there are still a lot of tickers that we couldn't get through. So Zoom reports earnings this week. And
take it away.
Yeah, I don't know about Zoom. It's like this is one of those stocks, the pandemic stocks, which it was supposed to break that 90 barrier back in when it failed in November of 2024. So earnings, let's see what's coming up. We do have 21 up revisions. They are expected to bring in about 1.2 billion. So we could the issue that I see is that we have three moving averages, especially that it's also trading below the 200. So hopefully the catalyst is enough to break that, because if not, then if it gets rejected from there, then we'll probably see consolidation at these levels. But earnings is like it's a binary event, right? We could see an announcement on some sort of I don't know, new technology that could, create some more excitement among investors, because Zoom hasn't been really, nobody's talking about Zoom these days.
No, it's a bit of a throwaway stock now, isn't it? It's had its moment.
Yeah.
There's definitely more exciting names within the market, and you're kind of seeing that reflected in the price action at the moment. So I'm not going to be trading this, at least from not from a logical point of view. I mean, if we break this trend line with normal price action, then maybe, but there's no point doing that kind of going into an earnings week, as you mentioned. So yeah. And what have we got left? Because we can
Well,
do maybe a couple more, or
yeah,
not, and then
yeah,
we
yeah.
should.
We have, if you want, then NVO and then NU.
Okay, we'll do those two, and then obviously, if you did post a ticker and we didn't see it, we didn't get to it, then just come back next week and post another one a lot sooner, and we can get to a lot then. But we obviously do very much apologise. NVO, what is this? Never Nordisk.
It's a, I think, pharmaceutical. It's a pretty big name though. It's a $227 billion market cap. I know, I think what has happened recently is that the retail community has become very excited about all these healthcare names. So United Healthcare, Oscar, this Novo, Hims and Her, and a couple others as well. So
It's really gappy, isn't it? This stock.
massive gap.
Gaps everywhere. Does this trade on another stock exchange?
Yeah,
It
it's
must do.
it's on the it's I don't know where it trades though. It's an international stock for sure. So we do have three down revisions with the upcoming earnings in November. It's a $12 billion revenue they bring every quarter. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's not buyable for me.
not yet. You would want
It's,
to see that breakout from, and especially with the 20-day and the 50-day coming right above it.
exactly. And we've got this kind of trend line that I've kind of drawn ish. So there's nowhere near that. So there's no sort of excitement from my end, at least.
Yeah, you might want to wait and see if you want to really go heavy on this one. You might want to see if you can see a further rejection and maybe build it. Maybe in the 40s or maybe in the 30s, right?
We've got Julian here. It's a Danish stock. So
Ah, I see.
that'll explain all the gaps. Okay, we'll move on to the last one. NU.
NVO.
Um,
Oh, sorry, and NU. Yes, you're right.
NU. Yeah. So this is New Holdings. This is a South American fintech stock, I believe.
It is a fintech stock for sure.
And we've done some research in the past, and it looks like we've actually made that move rather than that move. So there you go. Something went right. We get rid of those. We drag that across, and we can see earnings were posted, I guess, on Thursday evening because we had a bit of excitement come up to kind of looks like resistance here for the stock at $14. We've kind of rebounded off that negatively. What I'd be looking for is a retracement back down to these moving averages, maybe even the 200, because we've got lots of volume here on the right side for that, and then a move back up to there, which is nice actually, because over 10% that move, if we do retrace down there, so we can about 12%, which is, if it was, it looks like it was quite good fundamentals, at least behind the earnings. Of course, I'd have to dive into that a little bit more, but it's a good kind of optimistic view kind of going ahead there for New Holdings. And of course, we talk about stop losses all the time. It would just be below this price action here. Sorry, that's green. But yeah, any thoughts on New Holdings?
Not much, but Matt, I think, brought up the point for no that they had a news on Friday. So Berkshire Hathaway, I believe, they initiated they did the 13F filing, and they initiated the position with UNH. I don't remember if they did it for Novo or not, but so a lot of institutional investors are showing interest in these value plays. The only and I think one of the there's one school of thought that from my perspective, right? So just because we had these massive gap downs, so United Healthcare was trading at $600, it doesn't mean that in 2 quarters it will be back to $600. It could take maybe an year out. So you might have to stick 4 quarters to see that trend play out. But keep in mind, Berkshire is not trading the stock. They like to hold the stock. So they could be looking at a 5-year turnaround for that return. So if you are following Berkshire Hathaway, you have to have an investor long-term investment mindset and not from a trading standpoint. So keep that in mind if you are following those grades to do your trading. That's what my take is.
Exactly right. I think it's been an absolutely wonderful session. I've got about 10 tickets here to kind of look into for the week ahead. I'm sorry we didn't get to a few. Obviously, we do have here Julian here with Rivian.
Oh yes,
Obviously,
Vivian.
I might cover that on my X just separately. So go ahead and follow me on there if you don't already. Other tickers on here, I'm sure we'll get to as well. We'll look through them. We've got things like Futu here. Sorry we didn't get to that, and of course CrowdStrike and
CrowdStrike, yeah.
ASTS. But yeah, I mean, we'll be back next week at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so just do get in a little bit earlier. Perhaps we can rattle through some tickers a bit faster. It's good if you can get them in early, so then we kind of know what our pacing is like throughout the session.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll wrap up this session. Thank you very much once again for Wolf Financial for empowering this live stream course. We've got 3,000 viewers, which is excellent for the middle of summer when everyone's on holiday. I think that's pretty good going, isn't it, Kaye?
This is amazing, and thank you everybody for watching, giving your ticker symbols. And we had a pretty productive conversation. So it's not just the ticker symbols. We also talked about psychology and some other information around that. So totally loving this lives every Sunday.
Exactly, and hopefully the viewers are too. And you can find us on YouTube at Trading Weekly as well. We're going to be doing some more things kind of heading in towards the end of the year now. But we are very excited to share those sorts of things, kind of psychology sessions and trade ideas, etc. So we can get into that later on. I'm waffling now. I'm stumbling on my words. I've clearly spoken for too long. So we'll end it there. Make sure you trade safe this week. Obviously, it's a very choppy market. So just take care of yourselves when you're out there trading. Any last words, Kaye, before we?
I think we're going to trade safely and enjoy the ride, whether investing or trading.
Cool.